The Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Brent, roll call, please.
Mayor Kumar,
Here.
Ms. Bichetti. Here. Ms. Elder,
Here.
Mayor Gallo,
Here.
Mr. Love,
Here.
Ms. McPherson,
Here.
Mr. Sleesman,
Here.
Mayor Weiss,
Here.
Ms. Wiggum.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next, we have approval of December 2nd minutes that are in your packet. Are there any comments? If not, a motion and a second to approve.
So moved, Pachetti.
Second, McPherson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those pass. We have one item on our agenda today. It is a update of the West 25th Street BRT, and I believe we have several individuals here. Michael Schipper, Deputy General Manager, and Callie Mersman, Director of City of Cleveland Planning Commission and a former board member. So good morning. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, Mayor Kumar and members of the board. We gave you an update in early October. There's been a lot going on the project, and we've had a couple significant things happen and a lot of interaction with our business community. So we wanted to give a additional update. This will be based on a presentation we gave to the business community on January 7th, and then we've added some additional detail on a lot of the stakeholder and community meetings we've had through the project. So Callie's going to start, I'll do the middle, and then she's going to finish up with some of the commitments and things the city is looking at that are above, kind of beyond what's in our project and kind of more in the city control as opposed to the RTA control.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. We have been at the City of Cleveland working in partnership with the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority on the development and rollout of the West 25th Bus Rapid Transit Project, really understanding that RTA is the key sponsor of the capital project along the corridor, but that it does have impacts, benefits, and concerns coming up that span beyond the actual capital project. So today, Mike and I will walk you through the details of that. But underlying all of this is our shared goal to deliver a capital investment along West 25th Street that maximizes the transit benefits while supporting a thriving business district with safe and convenient pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicular navigation. And I will note before I get into the details here, this presentation is very specific to the Ohio City portion of the project. As you are familiar, this is an almost 4-mile corridor project spanning from Detroit all the way down into Old Brooklyn. For the purposes of our conversation today, we're really focused on the 5 or 6 blocks from Detroit to just south of Lorraine Avenue. When we talk about this project and the benefits that it brings to the city of Cleveland, we're talking about a $52 million roadway investment. Specifically for the Ohio City neighborhood, there's about $4 million specifically focused right adjacent to Irishtown Bend, which is a new park space coming to the banks of the Cuyahoga River, bridging up into the residential and business parts of the Ohio City district. This includes a multi-purpose path that connects all of the regional bicycle connections, as well as into the neighborhoods in that portion of the city. We'll get into a map a little bit later of what that looks like. This project also brings a new West 25th Street roadway and streetscape, including sidewalk repairs and improvements in the Market District, asphalt resurfacing along the entire corridor, landscaping enhancements, security enhancements, transit waiting environments, really sprucing up the entire corridor along with delivering the transit benefits. And then, of course, the safety and mobility improvements along the entire corridor. So from the city perspective, we do have some portions of this corridor that are high safety priority as identified through our Vision Zero analysis, specifically the West 25th and Clark intersection, as well as a segment south of Lorraine where West 25th Street sort of opens up into the bridges that go over the valley. This project also provides the opportunity for a continuous bicycle connection that we really cannot achieve except through dedicated bike lanes due to limited right-of-way and space within the corridor. And most importantly, from RTA's perspective, reduces transit commute times and makes that more reliable for up to 1.7 million rides annually just along the routes on this corridor. So as we look I'm going to hand it over to Mike, but something that was very compelling to us from the city side is there are 12 routes per hour per direction in this portion of West 25th Street. So we see very high transit service frequency and delivery relying on this corridor. And from the city perspective, what we're looking for is a solution that maximizes transit benefits and contributes to the sustained vitality and vibrancy of the business corridor here. So we're looking for win-win solutions. We're looking to support the businesses and what they need to continue to thrive, as well as improving transit delivery along the corridor in partnership with RTA.
All right, thanks, Callie. You know, this program has been going on, you know, since 2020 in a couple different forms. One, West 25th is one of our priority corridors in our strategic plan. We were awarded a grant by the Federal Transit Administration to do a transit-oriented development study of that corridor. So in 2020 and 2021, that study was led by Mary Beth's group and Mary Beth Feek, and it really laid out a 4-mile corridor that we could integrate bus rapid transit into a development strategy, which the city has embraced. Then we moved into a environmental and design phase at the beginning of 2024. And that's the phase that we've been in for the last 2 years, for 24 and 25. Again, preliminary engineering, environmental documentation, open houses, a number of meetings, which I'll get into a little bit farther along. But a couple key things happened since we last updated you. On November 17th, our environmental documentation was approved by the Federal Transit Administration, which is a big deal. So they've approved our environmental document, so it really sets the project limits, the project scope, again, the BRT focus, where we are proposing BRT lanes for 2.99 of the 3.8 some miles of the corridor. The couple exceptions being at Clark and at the 2 freeway intersections. And that came out of a public process where we had alternatives for the general use lanes with bus lanes on either side, general use lanes with parking on either side, and in some places a 3-lane section with parking on one side, 2 general use lanes and turn lanes dedicated. And that's what we're doing at Clark. But at Ohio City, what came out of that process was the BRT lanes with 2 general use lanes and a lot of other improvements. But within this, there were, but the other significant thing is our 90% plans were completed and submitted on November 24th. And we've had a lot of other follow-up meetings with the stakeholders in Ohio City since we met with you in October. And that, again, that timeline, the NEPA stuff now has been approved. We're at the 90% design. We are working on comments and we'll complete the plans next year. We will also be doing some right-of-way work. We have some easements and some right-of-way and permanent and construction easements we need to get, which will be a focus of 2026. The goal is to have a package out for bid at the end of this year, and we will have a 2-season construction. We'll have a 18-21-month construction period that goes from the beginning of 27 into the fall of 28, and then we'll be in service. Again, we got there by starting with the 25 Connects study of the TOD. Again, moving into the environmental and final design, the alternatives, and community process, with the BRT being an overwhelmingly supported alternative in the community work that we've done. That community work is pretty extensive. We had CDC meetings up and down the corridor, and a lot of those were in 2024 early on. Business meetings up and down the corridor, again, 2024. We've had a lot of final work in Ohio City, with a meeting, a couple meetings, but one at University School on August 13th that was attended by a wide variety of our stakeholders. We've had, prior to the first two open houses, we had other stakeholder meetings in front of that. And then we've had a number of meetings coordinating with Irishtown Bend. Irishtown Bend has been a huge piece of coordination for us as we've set the roadway configuration and how the area to the east will have a sidewalk, landscaping, tree area, and then a multi-use path adjacent to Irishtown Bend that's going to be included in our project because we're going to be ahead of them. We've had a whole other host of miscellaneous meetings and outreach, whether it's with council people, whether small groups like by Cleveland, things we even did with the 50th anniversary in terms of having things there where the public is interacting with RTA, and then a couple more business owner meetings in October and January. In total, we've had over 700 participants, and the social media part of this has been over 65,000 impressions. So it is out there, but with every project, we know there's always someone that's going to come to a meeting and say, hey, this is the first time I've heard about it, which is the case even a couple weeks ago, because people are busy. But we are out there, and we've done a pretty broad spectrum of communications. One of the focus of the project is economic development. We have now, Cuyahoga County has a really good transit-oriented development tracker. Using their data, we are looking at over $1 billion of investment in the 4-mile corridor, and we kind of look at a quarter mile each side. 250 million of that has already been built. 550 million is in some kind of either construction or permitting process. They're real projects. And then we got another about 275 that's percolating through an approval, review, and funding and financing piece. The BRT, again, has the dedicated lanes for the majority of the corridor. We are including transit signal prioritization. We are enhancing the curbside stations, which I'll show in a minute. We are reducing the travel time by just a couple minutes from our scheduled time, but from a reliability standpoint, we're going to gain 15 minutes of reliability on those blocks of buses that get hung up in the corridor. And reliability has been kind of hard to convey, but the way that 25th Street works is something will happen, it disrupts the corridor, it gets jammed up, our buses get delayed, and then it takes a couple cycles of lights and whatever for them to get through. So it's not the same time every day, it's not the same bus every day, but it's happening to us every single day. And as Kelly mentioned, we've got 12 buses per hour in each direction in the northern section. So we are carrying a lot of people. We're actually carrying more people than cars that are on the street. We are investing in the roadway. We're investing in the signals. We're investing in the pedestrian experience on the crosswalks, ADA ramps, sidewalk repairs. We're also investing in the stations. So we will have new stations up and down the corridor. They'll have some landscaping. Really important, they'll have enhanced lighting. They'll have security cameras. They're going to have the blue light call boxes so that someone can get a hold of us immediately if there's an issue out there. Again, we'll have waste receptacles, real-time information kiosks, and we have layouts and a design that fits in with the community. So there's a good example of that on the rendering. Here's another example of how it fits in front of the West Side Market. The vertical panels, we have the ability to change those out up and down the corridor. So there will be some very standard things at every station, and then there'll be some other things that we can change out. One of the things, even as we settled on the BRT alternative, one of the things we've been asked to do was to enhance the traffic calming elements in the market area because there are so many pedestrians there. So we looked at what we were doing and we came up with a series of enhancements. We're going to have raised crosswalks at 4 locations, J Bridge, Market, and Chatham. And that J to Chatham kind of sets that you're entering into the district. So we'll have raised crosswalks. We will have some vertical delineators at locations where cars are turning into the corridor so that they know that, you know, if they're coming in from a side street, that we're in an area where you need to be more careful. We'll have rumble strips separating the bus lanes and general use lanes. Those rumble strips will stop where we have permitted right turns, so cars will be able to make the right turns. We are going to do the red stencils behind the bus bike designations. So originally we just had the stencils, but we went ahead and added the the red designation. So adding to the traffic calming, we think is going to be a huge piece in terms of pedestrian safety in an area where there's a lot of pedestrians. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Callie for the city, some of the city elements.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, this is directly adjacent to the new Irishtown Bend Park, and incorporated into RTA's capital project is an expansion of the pedestrian realm up on the northern end of the corridor, which results in increased park space for Irishtown Bend, as well as construction of a multi-purpose path that links directly into our local and regional bike networks. The project is also providing additional on-street parking and pedestrian access to Irishtown Bend from the West 25th Street corridor. And here's an example of what that sort of looks like in cross-section. You can see the bus service. There will be a cutout parking lane, as well as that multi-purpose trail directly adjacent to Irishtown Bend, which is down to the right. This is a close-up of our bicycle and trail network in this area. As you can see, this is sort of a hotbed of connections of high-quality bike infrastructure and our trail network in the region, as well as in the city of Cleveland. The Irishtown Bend trails plug right into here, as we have discussed. This West 25th Street segment is also a key connector of the Memorial Bridges Loop, which has been a long discussed and working to actualize connection from the Detroit Superior Bridge along Huron in Ontario. The city received a federal earmark that will be under construction this year for that portion of the loop, coming back across the Lorraine-Carnegie Bridge, and then, of course, the West 25th Street section. Specifically, as we go through the Market District, as you know, that is already built out. The roadway, the sidewalk space, there isn't really room for a dedicated bicycle facility through that area of West 25th Street to connect the loop. And so these shared bus bike lanes serve as that connection for people biking both north-south along West 25th Street, potentially doing that Memorial Bridges loop or connecting to our broader trail network. The Red Line Greenway plugs in right here. The towpath trail is just down the hill in the flats, and Bedrock's new riverfront development is also creating trail connections that will plug right up into Ontario and Eagle into that Memorial Bridges Loop section. So in real time, we're seeing this realization of the trail network and the bicycle connections that many of us have talked and labored over for some time coming into place. And one key part of this project, beyond the transit benefits, is that it does play an important part in plugging some of those key gaps. Parking availability is one key concern that we have heard a lot about, especially in the Market District, as a result of the proposal to create bus-only bus bike lanes through the Market District that will, of course, remove some on-street parking. RTA and the city have both done parking surveys in the area, and RTA has adjusted their plans to reduce as much as possible the number of on-street parking spaces impacted. So at this point, what we are looking at right now is a net loss of 55 on-street parking spaces in the Ohio City portion of the corridor. When we look at the surface parking adjacent to the corridor, this district is really rather unique in the resources of surface parking lots that it has within close proximity to the corridor, and parking studies have showed about 70% utilization at peak time, with almost 600 additional off-street surface parking lot spaces available. So as the city has entered into this conversation. We have attended many of these community engagements and stakeholder meetings alongside RTA. Our attitude, again, has really been that we absolutely need to make sure that the business district has what it needs to continue to thrive and to thrive even more. We also want to be sure that RTA has what it needs to deliver reliable transit service to riders. That's really state of the art with this project coming in. And so when we think about how to do that, we know that the curb to curb width in this area of the corridor cannot address everyone's needs completely. So we need to look outside of just what the roadway itself can serve and look at strategies to specifically address concerns that we're hearing from businesses. So when we met on January 7th with the Ohio City Market District area businesses, we went very specifically through these slides, concerns that we have heard in recent engagement, and then what we are doing. Some of it's RTA within the capital project, but much of it is what the city can sort of wrap around in terms of supportive strategies that's outside of the corridor capital investment to address the needs and concerns that we're hearing. One of the first things we heard is continued concerns about traffic speed through the area and pedestrian safety. Mike went through the traffic calming and safety enhancements that RTA has incorporated into the capital project to the tune of $500,000. That includes those raised crosswalks, high visibility crosswalk markings, the delineation, the red bus bike lanes, et cetera. The city is also, through a separate project currently in partnership with RTA, piloting pedestrian detection and safety assessment technology at key intersections along the West 25th Street corridor. This is part of our Smart Signal pilot, looking at transit signal prioritization in a better way across the city. West 25th Street is one of our pilot areas for that, so that is ongoing. Through the project, we will also add an upgraded pedestrian flasher at the Market Avenue crosswalk, which currently has flashers to the side that are sort of continuously going. And the city is committed to a post-project speed and pedestrian safety evaluation after this capital investment, so that if there are speeding issues, if there are crosswalk yielding issues, then we can pinpoint those and take further action. Another thing that we heard is operational concerns for businesses along the corridor who rely on that on-street parking for pickup and drop-off, loading, et cetera, as well as handicap parking access. So for those familiar with the corridor, on the eastern side, the side with the West Side Market and the strip of businesses there, the West Side Market parking lot is directly behind there. The city already has metered parking as well as signed handicap spaces directly behind those businesses. And so what we would like to do is work with the businesses to hone the management of those parking spaces, as well as designate additional on-street pickup, drop-off, loading spaces on the adjacent east-west blocks that are intersecting West 25th Street to maximize convenient location of delivery for businesses that need it. We have a draft map on the next slide, but this is very much an iterative process with businesses to understand what individual needs are and where we can most conveniently locate those that aren't directly on West 25th Street, but are very close by and available. The city is also advancing camera enforcement of short-term use. So in planning jargon, we call this curb management strategies, so that there is, in fact, the turnover, that those parking spaces are not being abused by longer-term parking, but they are that sort of 5 to 10 to 15-minute pickup and drop-off. And so the photo on the left here is an example of that type of video technology that creates zones and can actively monitor via camera what the turnover in those parking spaces are, as well as some of the key areas along the West 25th Street corridor that we have preliminarily identified for pickup, drop-off, and loading. Again, this map will be iterated with business input. An additional concern that we heard was about parking availability for visitors and just folks' overall knowledge and ability to navigate the district. One of the things that came up in our conversations that I think is intuitive to how we all know and enjoy the Market District is that it is a great place for folks to park once and then go about to multiple restaurants, bars, retail stores, drop in at the market, just sort of make it a district shopping experience. Some of the downsides to that, even right now, before the capital project comes in, is it can be a little bit confusing to folks who are not very familiar about where public parking is, how to navigate best as a pedestrian across and along the corridor. And so the city will be funding a district-wide transportation management plan that really looks at organized district parking solutions making it very clear which surface lots are publicly available, working with the owners of those lots to get the agreements in place that we need to be able to offer those as district parking solutions. And then identifying and implementing vehicular and pedestrian wayfinding signage, as well as recommendations to unify the paid parking opportunities under one system or process for easy use, so that it is a seamless, very streamlined, and easy, convenient experience for folks who are coming to visit the Market District. We heard a concern that the bus lanes will be empty and abused by vehicular drivers. So when there's not a bus coming, when there maybe aren't bicycle riders using that to go north and south, that folks will swerve into it to pass on the right. They'll drive through it in speed. They'll park there to do their pickup and drop off and will block buses. So how will we enforce that? We do anticipate that these lanes will not be empty very much of the time. So we've talked already about 12 buses per hour per direction, as well as the bicycle use that we expect to come here. And if you think back to that bicycle network map, this is sort of a node or a nexus of many of our trail connections. So we expect that bicycle use will be high in these lanes. I talked about our piloting of camera enforcement for stopping and parking. We can do that along the bus lanes as well as load, pickup, drop-off zones. RTA Transit Police do have the jurisdiction to enforce violations in bus lanes, and we have those physical protectors that Mike already talked about with that vertical delineation, the rumble strips, the red paint, that will make it very clear to drivers that they shouldn't be in the bus lane, that that lane is not for them, and will actually physically limit their opportunity to access that lane. Every time there's a capital project along a corridor, we know that that can be very disruptive for businesses that are directly adjacent and impacted to that. So of course, that is a concern with this project as well. Many of the strategies that we talked about, the city will have in place when construction starts, so that as the street capacity is narrowed for the asphalt to be replaced, for the construction to happen, those strategies around off-street parking, pickup, drop-off, loading, et cetera, will already be in place for the businesses to use. RTA has committed to working with the businesses on their maintenance of traffic plans to help understand what business access needs are and to accommodate those as much as possible. And we from the city sort of have an open invitation out to the businesses to learn more about their anticipated needs and what types of resources, business support resources, might be helpful to them during construction, so that we can position ourselves to provide that support. So in terms of next steps, and this is where we left it with the Ohio City businesses on January 7th as well, we will be engaging to finalize the scope of that district transportation management plan with the district parking, the wayfinding, et cetera, and to better understand business needs, to get their feedback on these strategies that we put in front of them. RTA, of course, will provide ongoing project updates and opportunities for engagement, understanding, and we shared this with the businesses, that RTA does have a live grant application in front of the FTA that we expect to hear back from, that is in progress. So as RTA continues to develop the project and move forward, that will of course be shared with the community as well.
And certainly with that, we'll take any questions from the committee of the whole.
Questions from anyone?
Yeah, hi, thank you so much for this presentation. It's really helpful to just understand what the recent conversations have, like what concerns have been raised and how you are responding to them. I really appreciate the detail. I just have some general questions. So as you talk to the businesses along the corridor, and you discuss the ways that you're going to address each of these concerns, can you talk about the timing of implementing those changes, like things like the camera enforcement, the district-wide transportation management plan, and how that dovetails with the timing of the project? And yeah, that's one, and then I have another one.
Yes, so From the city perspective, we would work on getting those things in place over this calendar year so that when construction starts, specifically the wayfinding and the district parking is in place when the project starts, and on-street parking is by necessity removed from the corridor to allow room for construction. The enforcement and camera enforcement, I think, will be a little bit more of an ongoing iteration. We expect to be taking legislation. We've been in conversation with many of our council members around that already and expect to be taking legislation to city council this spring.
So by the time, and just remind me what the timing is for implementation of the corridor, should we get approval and things move forward?
Yeah. The implementation is that we would be done with construction in the fall of '28. So, we still have '26, '27, and '28 for, again, so that as we're planning, we don't need the camera enforcement until the fall of '28. So that's part of the work that we're trying to do with the city over the next couple years.
Great. So long lead time to address some of these changes, it sounds like. And then I guess my second question is related to that. And I guess I'm just big picture trying to think of if you guys could just speak to the progress over the next couple. Let me put this a different way. If something happens and this doesn't move forward with the FTA, the magnitude of a project like this happening again at the scale that we're currently discussing, how much time does that set us back? So, for example, I'm going to your original slide where this originally started with a study in 2020, 2021. We're now in 2026. If anything should happen that makes this not move forward and make these improvements, what are we looking at should this not move forward, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's a very good, legitimate question. Because from the funding stack of this, of the 52 million, we have the local match money that RTA is providing. We have formula grant monies that we've designated to the project. We also have $12 million of money that we were awarded from ODOT in their track review council. And now that the environmental document has been approved, that $12 million is now unlocked. So of the 52, we're short 20.5. The 20.5 is in the FTA capital improvement grant review process for small starts. We will find out probably sometime in February if they recommend us for funding. Now that process is a once-a-year shot. So we turned in our application in August. The FTA had us do some more clarifications of that in September. They have assigned a project management oversight consultant already to work with us. So they're doing a lot of the things that we feel, and in a preliminary rating using their own criteria, it's a highly rated project. Now, not every highly rated project gets funded because these are highly competitive. But we are moving forward as if we're going to get funded in February. If we don't get funded in February, we'll be back in the pot for February 27.
Hey, Mike.
So there's this 1 year lag. So, but with the money we do have set aside, we may be able to ask FTA, hey, can we do some early action projects because we have the ODOT money?
Let me ask an additional piggyback, because I think what I'm hearing as well. Callie, if you'd be able to give an idea of the domino effect of this, of the importance of this project. First, I want to say thank you to the City of Cleveland for serving as a collaborator, I think, is the appropriate word on this. Clearly, there's a lot of work that has gone into the project in addition to what RTA has already done over the last few years to kind of make this get to where it's been, I mean, where it is in the process of application. To Trustee Pachetti's question, can you speak to the maybe the breadth of the project and what that means to the city of Cleveland? Clearly, the city is putting a lot of resources in making this a robust project. So asking about the timing and what happens if it doesn't move forward. Maybe you can talk to, if it's appropriate, what happens when it does move forward. You mentioned Irish Town Bend and maybe the connectivity, and what's the impetus for the city of Cleveland to remain a partner on this.
There are two main considerations when we think about time delay. One is the value of the project will be postponed. So right now we're coordinated, and RTA has coordinated closely with the Irish Town Bend team on construction schedules. I mentioned the Memorial Bridges Loop connection that will be coming on board. The improvements that are now synced up timing-wise would then be pushed and delayed. We also talked about safety improvements, capital improvements, security improvements. All of those benefits would just be pushed back, which would be a loss to the community in terms of those broader impacts. And then, of course, we all know the cost of time, especially in this period of inflating prices. Budgets balloon very quickly, and time is a variable that, to the extent that we have control of it, the sooner that we can make investments, the more efficient our dollars can be in covering what we want them to.
Just a final comment. I think my understanding, or the status quo on the 25th Street corridor is not ideal. And so I really appreciate all the effort that has been put into improvements. And as you move forward, just continue to work in partnership with the stakeholders along 25th Street, because this is extraordinarily complex, and it does seem like there are a lot of spillover effects, and those aren't going to go away at any stage. And so I really applaud your efforts and hope we continue on this path. Thank you.
And I'll just add something very briefly, Trustee Elder, not to belabor the points that have already been made, but to really commend RTA and the City of Cleveland for collaborating, especially to address a lot of the concerns that have come from our business community, primarily that being safety and parking. So I just want to commend both agencies for really doing the work, doing the research, looking at surrounding areas to see how we can, please, our business community partners, our riders, our bicyclists, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you, and I really look forward to this project moving forward. We're 90% of the way there.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you, Director Mersman, for the update presentation, and thank you, TJM Shipper, for the update as well. Building on my colleagues' comments, again, I think the GCRTA and the city have been very attentive to the best extent possible to the set of concerns. I am just curious, there was a mention around reduced travel time and then the sort of 15-minute increment reliability. I am curious, in the analysis, was there an attempt at putting any reliability calculation together should there not be a dedicated bus lane in sort of the let's just say the portion in question in that market district? And just curious what impact that has both on the travel time and that reliability delay. Thank you.
Trustee Love and members of the committee, that's a great question. In the analysis that we did for the Small Starts Grant, that area surrounding, just north and south of Lorraine, it's the true pinch point of the project. And not doing the BRT in that section decreased the user benefit reliability by about 50%. So we can do all the other stuff in 3.5 miles, but that half-mile section is really 50% of the issue. So when we did that analysis, that was a big driver for really promoting the BRT alternative through there, because it had such a big impact on the user benefit and the reliability issue. I will say that at Clark, because I do want to, at Clark, the big issue there was the lack of dedicated left turn. The traffic is a little less, but by fixing the dedicated left turn issue and not having the BRT lane, we achieved the same benefit we would have achieved by having the BRT lanes there. So working with that community, with that council person, we concluded that that would be an appropriate solution at Clark, and it still gave us the user benefit we needed. But at Lorraine, we really needed the dedicated bus lanes, and that was a huge impact on, again, the user benefit part, the reliability part, and also how we score for the FTA money. We would not be highly rated if we were going with a parking on one side or parking on both sides alternative. We would not be, we may only be like medium rated because their ratings go from high, medium, low, and low. So it would have knocked us way down in the criteria, and I wouldn't be as confident about funding as I am right now. So FTA funds things for transit benefit, and that's why they have the criteria set up. They want the project money, the money that they're bringing to the project, to have the biggest benefit it can. And that's also a little bit why ODOT funded us, because this is a U.S. route. It allows them to have us do the improvements that they would probably have to fund anyway, or have to fund through the city because it's in the city limits to improve the street. So there's a huge user benefit, and we also had a significant amount of public support. I know a number of you were at open houses and other meetings, and I think a number of you could see the support we've had in the community for what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Callie just had one, you touched on it a little bit. I think, especially on West 25th, visitors don't always realize how much parking there is. Getting there, wayfinding to it, is that envisioned to beef that up a bit, especially in that West 25th corridor, so people directionally are guided there?
Yes, that's a big part of that transportation management plan that the city is bringing forward to complement RTA's investment in the capital project. To your point, there is that big surface lot there that is already public that folks may not know as they're coming in. There are also other surface lots that are held by institutions that could potentially be unlocked with some really focused conversation with them. I know when we talk about shared parking, sometimes liability is a concern. There are a lot of details in how to manage those relationships. And so our belief is that a focused effort and support from the city can really help unlock additional district parking opportunities, and then develop a communication strategy for folks who are coming in, whether it is online information, physical signage in the area, just to help make that a seamless process for people.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm really excited about this, especially as someone who's worked on trails and whatnot with you in the past, Callie. I'm wondering, as you think about the plan or the future plan that you're working to get funding for, will that take into account, or are we already taking into account that with investments to the West Side Market and also Irish Town Bend coming online, like the amount of tourists or amount of pedestrians or visitors or whatever you want to call them may be increasing to this part of our community? And will these changes, or will the plan take into account for that, for parking and also for RTA?
Well, you can go first.
Yes, I think your question sort of gets to this vision of a more thriving district.
Yes.
This is already a jewel in our city, right? And it's poised to be an even shinier jewel in the coming years. And so what we know is that we have to be intentional about how we're using the space available to us and our resources to help people access that easily. Transit obviously is absolutely a key component to that. We're talking about high frequency service, multiple routes that reach into core population hubs, the downtown job hub, for example. This is truly one of the places in Cleveland where you can like walk out and have a bus come to you in 5 minutes to get into downtown or where you want to go. So this is a neighborhood where transit absolutely can serve and meet most transportation needs. We also know that, to Mayor Kumar's point, as new folks are coming in, they'll want help to know where to go. And so in the capital projects, the roadway projects, we mentioned additional on-street parking available. With the transportation management plan, it really is about information and how to help people navigate that. And we think that all of these things, the trail, the transit, the vehicular, the pedestrian, all of those work together to really create an experience of this area that has the business presence, has the public presence of the West Side Market, is going to have the Parks and Rec draw that is truly like can almost be all things to all people, but we can't put all of that on the West 25th Street corridor ourselves. And so it is a broader perspective and a broader approach to how the complete neighborhood around the corridor functions for people.
Thank you.
Sir.
One last question for me. The follow-up on the unified parking, paid parking system, what are the challenges to seeing that actually come into fruition? It seems to me that I've been to places where there are, other cities where they have multiple, and you don't remember which password you needed or how one worked versus another.
So again, that's a great question, and that's a place where the city is probably best poised to step in. It's not on RTA to solve different parking paid systems on our on-street parking as well as private lots. What we have right now is the city has transitioned to Park Mobile app for on-street parking. In this specific area, the West Side Market lot uses a different payment system currently. And then we have private parking operators that, your ABMs, your USA Parkings, et cetera, that operate lots that each may have their own sort of payment process or method. Part of what the planning effort around the transportation management in the district will do is bring those folks together to talk and understand whether we might all come into one payment system. From a user perspective, I think that is obviously ideal to have one system, one app, you know how to pay. There are intricacies in terms of why different people use different things, and so that planning process would work through that with the goal of aligning if possible.
Thank you.
I had a couple comments and a question. I'm a fan of Harvey Miller down at Ohio State, and he had a paper a few years ago on the economic effects of BRT and found that it's very positive and that those effects are mitigated when BRT lines don't have their own dedicated lane. So I think for the sake of the businesses around there, based on evidence, they'll do better, and property owners will do better if this has dedicated lanes through there. So I appreciate the work on that and appreciate the work on the safety elements of it and listening to those parts of those concerns. I'm also a big fan of the late, great Donald Shoup. And in terms of, to make it easier for drivers, actually, I believe his work found that about a third of traffic in places like this, a third of congestion is actually just drivers looking for street parking. And so to have some transportation to management, to have some signage, to have the district parking, and actually making that clearer of, hey, you can just park here. You don't have to worry about this. You don't have to get in everyone's way. You don't have to be a distracted driver in an area with a lot of pedestrians. That'll go a long way for people who do just want to get in quickly, get out, buy something, get out, and also for drivers who are visiting. In terms of the transportation demand management, parking management, and the district parking, are those seen as a one-off thing, or will they be pilots or things to maybe extend into other areas, maybe even of this line further south as those areas build up or get more popular?
We see it both as sort of a down payment on a continued conversation and relationship in this district specifically, in terms of again, bringing folks together, talking about solutions, and then having recommendations that we can move forward over time, as well as sort of setting the tone for what this type of process could look like in other districts like this across Cleveland.
And then I'll make a request of the city. I mentioned this to RTA already. Very much appreciate the safety elements in this area. As there is growth to the south, I would also love to. I'm thinking specifically of Centro Villa, as that's on the west side, and they're looking now at the east side of that street to make to have an eye on that, and if there's pedestrian concerns moving forward, either there or at Metro Health, that we're willing and able to do other safety interventions elsewhere when necessary, and that it's not just for Market Square.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that'll be on us. So we can look at that, and that may make sense there. Yeah.
Going once, going twice. Well, thank you very much for the presentation and the combined effort with both RTA management and the City of Cleveland. It's an exciting project, and I know there have been some challenges, but it's great to see us working through the project itself. But I appreciate that those thoughts on how to further enhance that parking experience, Callie. I think personally, I appreciate that. So I think that'll go a long way with attracting more visitors to the area. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
I don't believe we have any other items under the committee of the whole. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved, Sleesman.
Second, Pachetti.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Meeting is adjourned. I'd like to call to order the GCRTA Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Brent, if we could have the roll call, please.
Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Ms.
Here.
Pachetti,
Present.
Ms. Elder,
Here.
Mayor Gallo. Here. Mr. Love. Here. Ms. McPherson. Here. Mr. Sleesman.
Yep.
Mayor Weiss.
Here.
Ms. Wiggum.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, we have approval of the minutes of the December 16th, 2025 board meeting. You have those in front of you. If there are no edits, I would ask for a motion and a second for approval.
So moved, Pachetti.
Second, Sleesman.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, public comment for agenda and non-agenda items. Do we have any individuals that are present in the audience that would like to make a comment? Okay, seeing none. Brent, do we have any callers online?
We do have one caller. Caller extension 0387. Please go ahead.
This is Eric Stewart. Are Callie and Mike still in the room? I'd like to pose some questions to them about what they just spoke about. Can you hear me?
I don't believe so. No, they're not here, Mr. Stewart.
Okay. So I'm going to pose a question and maybe to get conveyed to them. I wanted to know how many parking spaces are they putting in place over in the Irish Bend area? They said they were adding spaces. They didn't give the number. What species of trees are they planting over in the Irish Bend, and how many of them are they going to put in place? In reference to the bus lanes, where they're concerned with people driving through the lanes, is there going to be signage posted on what the fine's going to be if people are caught driving in those lanes so that there's no discrepancy that they should have known because the signage was in place? Separate from that, I also want to know, is there someone near in the Board of Trustees or in leadership at all that can hear this question that would know how much are you paying minimum salary for people that are cleaners for the shelters, for the buses and the rail, and what's the maximum pay that they're giving right now? And the same question as it applies to bus drivers and train drivers, what's the minimum pay that they're getting and what's the maximum pay that they're getting? I'd also like to address to you that if you are still running a bus every 15 minutes up to Tri-C, meaning the number 15 bus, 16 times a day each direction, that bus runs up Harvard, and you exit out to the south to get over to Tri-C where the route ends. If you're not going directly into Tri-C, but less than a half a mile east, also on Harvard to the north, is Pinecrest Shopping Center. How is it that you are still not putting the information out so that people can consider a bus going up to the Pinecrest Shopping Center where there's 61 businesses, including a grocery store, including multiple other businesses, and adding into that a movie theater? A lot of those transit riders would go to midday movie sessions, then go to the grocery store, then go to some of the restaurants, get back on the bus and go back home if they didn't have to walk a half mile from Tri-C just to get up there because you won't run a bus. Those same people going the opposite direction will get on that same bus, the 15A that's been suggested to you, and go to the movie theater in Shaker Square and go to those other 23 businesses in Shaker Square. Right now, you haven't shown any consideration for those people, not even acknowledging that they exist. I'm hoping that you do something about that. Please address all these questions that I have just now posed to you and not ignore them like you did not hear any of them.
Mr. Stewart, thank you very much for your comments. I know our general manager has taken copious notes on some of your comments and questions, and they're going to take that under advisement. Thank you very much. Any other callers? Do we have any online comments?
There was one web form comment also submitted by Eric Stewart with similar comments, and that'll be included in the minutes.
Thank you very much. Next, we're to the committee reports. Do we have any committee chairs of any of the committees that have any reports today? Mayor Weiss, anything relative to compensation?
No, we're continuing through the process with the two direct reports to the board, namely the executive director of internal audit and the CEO. So in process.
Thank you very much. Okay. Having moved through those, we will go to introduction of new employees and announcement of promotions. Ida Marshall, where are you? There you are. Welcome back.
Good morning, Board President Kumar, India Birdsong Terry, General Manager, CEO, Vice Chair and Board of Trustees. My pleasure to announce the new hires, promotions, and retirees. But before we get started, I would love to acknowledge those retirees that are here today for fourth quarter. If we would just give them a round of applause, please. They're here with some of their family members, and this is honestly one of the largest showing that we've had since we started announcing them. So we're going to go ahead and jump into announcing our new hires with our bus operators. Okay, put my glasses off here. All right, we're going to start with our part-time bus operators, and that's Brittany King, Jasmine Reese Turner, Brandon McKinney, Christine Blade, Jelena Taylor, Deidreana McKenzie, Sias McCoy, Dewan Rutledge, and Armonte Long. Moving back over, we have Taylor Swayfield, Tony Vu, and Amgad Bal-Eldin. We're finishing things up for our bus operators part-time is Brittany Bradley. We're moving into external affairs, and we have Charlie Swift, digital content specialist, as well as joining our human resources division is Jason Krall, HRIS manager. Last but not least, I would like to announce Madison Thomas with Miami University. She is here with us for about 30 days as an internal audit fellow. Madison will be working with Tony Garofoli and his team in conducting an ADA compliance review by writing our system and evaluating the accuracy and functionality of our bus announcements through GPS and radio systems. So we look forward to the outcome and results from Madison.
Ms. Marshall?
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. Not sure if this is your last new hire slide. My gut tells me it is. If I can actually ask either you or Dr. Caver to give a quick insight on the flurry of part-timers so that we can explain the method behind the madness in that one. That is a little bit of a new designation that you may notice for some of the trustees. And then also for the 3 non-bus operator folks that joined, those are positions that have already been slated for filling before the hiring freeze. All right.
Good morning, Chairman Kumar, Ms. Terry, and members of the board. I'm Flaunce Caver, the Chief Operating Officer here at the Greater Cleveland RTA. And so you'll notice that for the bus operator, all but one are hired in as part-time bus operators. As we've been looking at budget concerns, potential service reductions in the future, we brought back a program that we most oftentimes, and many of the retirees would know, is that we have folks come in as part-time bus operators. When they come in as part-time bus operators, several things happen and benefit the organization. One is that the aggregate cost of compensation is cheaper for the part-timer. Secondly, we have employees who are able to start a job that's a very difficult lifestyle job, but they can start part-time, get their life together, and then become full-time sometime later, usually a year or so later. And so we've been really excited about the opportunity to bring back our part-time positions. We're only able to do so because we actually have enough full-timers. And so you'll remember that over the last 2 years, we've discussed the fact that we were 150 operators short. And so as we continue to grow that operator from the collaboration with HR and Human Resources and others, we're now able to begin bringing back part-timers. And so you'll see that we'll have part-timers going forward. Ms. Terry also mentioned that you see 2 other positions, and so we are in a hiring freeze. However, some positions, given the need of the organizations, are still being filled. Those positions go through a review with the CEO, the CFO, and the Chief Human Resource Officer. And so they review those positions, and if we define that they are mission critical to moving forward, we'll still hire them. But as you see, the positions that are mostly hired are all operators, which is our core business.
Thank you, Dr. Caver. I appreciate that. Always want to make sure we're keeping the board in the know as to what we're doing financially. And then also wanted to give another shout out to the Human Resources and Talent Acquisition team. Joel, you are our timekeeper as far as the numbers for operator deficit. Where are we now?
The deficit got down to 10.
Yay! Huge, huge. And that is that's from, as Dr. Caver mentioned, being 150 in the hole about 2.5 years ago. So that's a huge, tremendous effort. And that does allow us to have some flexibility to make sure that we continue on route and on schedule.
Thank you, Ms. Birdsong Terry. Thank you for announcing that deficit. It was, the whole organization has really worked hard, and so we're real proud of that. As we move into some of the folks that are moving ahead, I would like to announce January promotions, and we have Jamie Inks, who is now Operations Analyst 3. And with me, we also have Transit Police Michael Kale. It is now the Transit Police Sergeant. We also have promoting to Lieutenant is Robert Telesky. They were sworn in last week, and so you'll hear more about that later, but congratulations to you all there. All right, so at the pleasure of the board president, we would like to have a resolution read, and we'll move into retirees.
Beautiful. Brent, Resolution 2026-1.
Expressing congratulations to the employees of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority who retired during the fourth quarter of 2025.
All right. Today we have 18 retirees with a combined 362 years of service, excellence, and institutional knowledge. Yes. If you are present today, retirees, please stand up when you hear your name being called up on the screen, and we will, Vanessa will hand out a proclamation for you. Please remain standing to the conclusion, and then Vanessa will take you over to this beautiful red and white photo backdrop to take a photo with the Board of Trustees and India Birdsong Terry and Dr. Caver and whom else would like to take a picture. So let's start out with Perry Osby, Service Quality Supervisor 2. Belinda James, Service Quality Supervisor, Rail. Curtis L. Prince, Service Quality Supervisor, Rail. Don M. Tarka, Associate Counsel 2. Clark P. Smith, the third Superintendent, Construction is here. Jimmy Sanders, Paratransit Operator. Robert L. McGraw, Paratransit Reservations Operator. Daniel Irvin Jr., Bus Operator. Thomas J. Prince Jr., Bus Operator. All right. Moving on, Rhonda is here. Rhonda D. Chesney, Bus Operator. Harold E. Rose, Bus Operator as well. Gerald L. Ware, Bus Operator. Okay. Rodney T. Henderson, Bus Operator. Bernadine L. Hostin, Bus Operator. Okay. Rounding things out is Evelyn Lee as Bus Operator. Moving into supervision that are retired last quarter is Jeffrey M. Lyons, Supervisor, Power and Way. And we have Lawrence J. Stroud, 45 years as Supervisor of Stores. Not present, but that worth honoring. And finally, but not least, we have Renault Tay Napick as a Supervisor, Electronic Repair. Congratulations to you all. Vanessa will take you over to have a photo and then stop back up here at the podium just to give some remarks, maybe some memorable stories, a little institutional knowledge to pass on to us. Okay. All right, we'll take a picture over there. All right. Gonna take a photo. All right. Follow him over there. Yes, how you doing? Right, how you? Good. We'll take a photo. And I did want to acknowledge B. Perry Osby, the wife of Perry. She actually is here in attendance supporting her husband. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. One more big round of applause before we hear some of these comments. Thank you. All right, you stand here. Whoever wants to go first? Anyone want to go first? Anyone want to start first? Okay. All right. Get it together. All right. You want to start it off here?
I'll go. It's all right.
Yeah, let's start off here.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
All right. All right. Hey, you know, as this day came about, I was a little restless last night. I was like a little kid waiting on Christmas, you know, because I never thought that at 18 years of age, I would be retiring with 37 years. There are some people that I could thank. You know, there are some people here, my man Howard Wesley, Dr. Caver, Richard Newell, Kim Jackson, folks that motivated me to want to be more than a laborer, more than an operator, more than a hostler, more than a inspector. And then I even had a chance to do union business where I was a business agent. So my experience over the years, man, I owe a whole lot of people. You know, my wife, being able to deal with this, like you heard Doc say earlier, working here at RTA, especially in operations, you come in, you don't have a set schedule. You got to be ready. They say if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. But You know, as a part-timer when I started, there were pay periods where I didn't get 18 hours a week. And we always was taught that it gets greater later. And it did, because I was blessed to be able to provide a lifestyle for my wife and my kids and myself through RTA. As a business agent, I often told the new hires, if you come to work on time, you don't tear up the equipment, you lose that cell phone, you don't do drugs, you always get paid every other week. RTA has never, ever said, Mr. Osby, we don't have your money. They might have made a mistake. Say, come down Friday after 3, we'll cut you a check. You know, and so it took me a little while to understand how RTA worked. Like I'll tell you, as an 18-year-old college kid, when my mother-in-law said, hey, you need to get a job when you're home for the summer. So I worked here one summer, went back to college. Second year I came back, when it was time to go back to school, down at Rail in the track department, they said, man, if you wasn't going back to college, you could work for RTA. Well, we know in 1987, 1988, there were no cell phones. So I said, hey, can I use the phone? Go in here and talk to my dad. Hey, Dad, RTA said if I wasn't going back to school, they'd give me a job. He said, son, a man that don't work, don't eat. And as long as you're trying, your mother and I will support you. So I never went back to school. But we didn't have CDLs either. We had what you call a chauffeur's license, which you couldn't get until you turned 21. So here I am, 18, 19 years old. I can't drive any RTA equipment. But I was always complaining, you know, that kid that want the money but don't want to do the work? Well, let me tell you a quick story. As a laborer in the wintertime, it's snowing. And as it's time to get off work and we're standing at the time clock, supervisor comes by and say, guess what? We got to get back out here and hit these platforms from the airport to 55th and from 55th to Windermere. And I'm kicking and screaming because it's forced overtime. But let me tell you what happened. I got a paycheck for $1,000. Huh? $1,000? I said, I ain't never going home. You know, so that was the start of something. So by the time I turned 21, I was able to go to Triscuit, my first full-time operator, November 5th, 1988. So I went from driving the bus, and I left to go to the world's finest United States Marine Corps, where I served 4 years. And there was a supervisor, transportation manager at the time, named Earl Fairfax. Thank goodness that when I went in and told him that I was resigning because I was going to the military, he put down that I was taking military leave. Little did I know that that was going to make one of the biggest differences in my life. 4 years later, when I returned, they brought me back to RTA, put me in my seniority slot. I was dead last on the full-time list, but I was at top pay, Doc. At 26, I was at top pay, so it worked out. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just want to tell you how I ended up in supervision, service quality. A man named Richard Newell came to me one day and said, man, I've been watching you. We all know the stories about you never know who's watching, so you got to always be on your A game. So he came to me one day and he said, man, I've been watching you, you know, your military status, the way you do your uniform, just the way you carry yourself. I'd like for you to apply for service quality. Who wants to be a supervisor? So I kind of laughed. And then there was a lady named Kim Jackson. I was sitting down on the square and she came up to the bus and gave me this song and dance and she said, hey, we're making changes. You should consider it. And at that point, I started thinking my wheels are spinning. And I began to want to become more involved. And putting on that white shirt, I'm going to tell you something. Change. Because it's a difference when you're looking at folks with titles and supervisors and you think that they're mean and they're this or they're that. But then when you get that opportunity to stand in them footprints and you want to lead by example, you want to help. I want to help anybody that wants to be helped. If I can help you and it's not going to hurt me too bad, I'm going to stand tall for you. I'm going to go to bat for you. Even if you're wrong, we're going to address that issue and then we're going to move forward. But the point that I want to say is that my journey, my experience here at RTA has been great. You know, when I was a business agent and Doc was over at Triscuit, one of the things that I remember that he told, because I had to not battle with him weekly, but he said to me one day, he said, you know what, Big O? I love a good fight. So I'm going to make sure that you got whatever information you need so when you come in here to represent the members, that you got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. And I respect them for that, and I say thank you, man. So moving forward, here I am, 37 years at 59 years of age. Well, I'll be 59 next month. And being retired, I will tell you, is a challenge. Because for the first time in my life, I don't have a routine. When I'm supposed to be asleep, I'm woke. And when I'm supposed to be woke, I'm asleep. I blame my wife for my honey-do list, but she retired in June, so if we could put our hands together for my wife also. School teacher. And I don't want to start saying names, but for all of those that have been here with me to witness this journey, I just want to say thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. And I really didn't think I would get choked up. But you know what we have here? We don't even realize it because we so used to coming to work, going home, coming to work. We have a work family. We spend more time together sometimes than we spend with our own families. So we kick and scream and we fuss and we talk about each other, but we family. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to miss you guys. And once again, thank you.
My name is Curtis L. Prince Sr. I started in '89 at Hayton as a bus operator, and we had a chance to come up on the rail because the rail was short. And I was kind of glad to come up on the rail because I didn't really like reading those bus films, which, you know, they built a new station and it got better. But as a kid, I always, you know, guys always liked trains and stuff like that. So when I came up on the rail, I said, man, I'm gonna have a ball up here. I'm gonna learn everything I can. So I think I was there about a year, and I turned full time there. Then I started working in the yard. When you work in the yard, you learn all the how to troubleshoot trains, all the functions of the trains, and everything like that. So then I went into dispatching. Dispatch for maybe about 8, 9 years, then yard control. Then started working outside. So it's really nothing. I've done everything as far as supervision on rail. My reason for getting into supervision in the beginning was to make a difference. A lot of people just want to get in there just to say they're a supervisor, but I wanted to make a difference and make my name and voice heard to try to make things better. And the only way you could do it is be in that position. So a lot of new operators and stuff like that, they come out there. I was at Shaker Square a lot. They come out there, they're afraid. So I would talk to them and take their train, take it out east, bring it back to try to make them feel comfortable. And it helped a lot with keeping train operators because we would lose a lot too. But my experience on the rail was real good. I had good leaders, Travis, John, McGee, Fern. You could just keep naming them. So I learned from a lot of the best people that knew this stuff. And I think I was one of the last ones left that really knew the rail stuff. So I stayed for Doc. I could have left in 19. So I told him, I said, I'm going to stay for you, you know, because I know you need help. The trains is, man, he needed so much help. The trains started breaking down. It was hard to get enough trains for pull out and this and that. We chasing trains on the line, towing them, driving them backwards. We did whatever we could to get the trains back to the yard. So And my experience there was really good. And my coworkers were good. Management was pretty good. Sometimes you bump heads with them, you know, Tony and them, but we always worked stuff out to get things rolling. And very good experience. If anybody ever asked me, I would tell them RTA would be a good place to work. And definitely a good place to make money because they get paid well. And that's what made it hard for me to leave too. So I just thank everybody. I appreciate working with everybody. Everybody's always been resourceful and helpful with everything we want to do. And I appreciate everything.
Hello. Hello. My name is Rhonda Chesney. I jotted down something so I wouldn't just ramble on like I can do. Hello, everyone. I'm still fresh and new. Wait a minute. I'm still fresh and new to this retirement era as of November 1st, 25. So I'm only 2 months, 2 weeks, and some days into it. I'm still pulling over the bus stops, trying to pick up passengers. I'm still running in the big rain puddles, making big splashes. When I come to my senses and realize I don't work no more, it makes me sad sometimes. I realize I made it and the good memories outweigh the bad. I definitely have learned from the experience. I have seen so much, as well as in my heart of hearts, I can truly rate this job as being one of my best jobs ever in all my life. It was the best top pay of all time. I was already close and on good terms with Jesus way before this job, but surely through the years, my very best friend and confidant, who I had to thank every day and on multiple times, he's my right-hand man for sure. I can say I love my job and I would advise others to give it a go as well, but only if they're people persons, someone who can handle their own feelings in good and bad times. Be humble, sit down. That was a phrase of a song I always remembered. In the beginning, I always thought I was about to get fired. But just as the saying, this too shall pass, it did. I remember it all and I learned from it, vowing to never do it again. I'm still amazed at how many people I've met and saw every day. It's always one person. It's always one person you've never seen before every day. Like, every day you see different people and stuff, but every day is always one person that you've never seen in your life. So I wonder about stuff like that. Like, do all these people really live here in Cleveland, Ohio? Anyways, I can go on and on, but I'm gonna stop because I'm always open for questions because I've got answers. Amen.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
I am Belinda James. I was a rail supervisor. I started out part-time on rail. I was only planning to be here 5 years because I'm a cosmetologist. So I came for the money to open my own business. But once I got here, everybody made me feel like we were family. And the money wasn't bad either. So I ended up staying. And once I learned everything I could about operation on rail, I wanted to become a supervisor to help the ones that comes in later, because I found out that you take your knowledge and you pass it on to the next person. So before I actually left as rail supervisor, I took another young lady that wanted to be a supervisor and I assisted her. Okay, but I told her, don't take anything for granted. Just do what you're supposed to do. And what you had learned as an operator, use it to help yourself, because I'm not seeing everybody in position knows what they're doing if they wasn't an operator. You're going to have people in higher position. But by you being an operator, you learn little tricks of the trade to, I'm going to say, get the trains moving, or what we had to do years ago, but you can't do it without the authorization from the control center. So you call them and let them know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and that should help you along the way. And to me and service quality bumps head a lot because my knowledge, what I learned over the years, helped me along the way. And when you try to explain that to someone else that wasn't in that position, we bump heads. And then so I'll say, okay, I'm going to shut it down. I'll let you do it your way. Then when it doesn't work, I was the person to say, I told you, So that's why we bump heads all the time. So I learned to listen. But then also I want to exert my knowledge too to help you out along the way. And then you can help others that comes in also. But yeah, like I said, we were like family. I can talk to another supervisor. They made me feel great to stay into supervision. The only thing that I didn't find that was, we don't communicate. That's the only thing I found that was kind of negative about RTA. We say something, you have your own policy and procedure that you go by, but when I talk to people on the street, I try to explain, RTA work like this, you have to send a message down to RTA. We're not in charge. We have our own procedure and policy that we have to follow also. So I have to explain that to some passengers that ride, because one lady told me she'd rather catch a shuttle bus than the train. And I said, well, that depends on the weather. If we're good, we're on time, you'd rather take the rapid. But then they say they missed a bus connection or whatever. So I found out they let me know what bus they want. So I'll call control center and say, hey, can you hold that bus a couple of minutes? This train is running behind, And then I get some feedback about they need to catch your train earlier. Okay, our service went down to 30 minutes apart. So if they catch that 30-minute train and they miss that bus, guess what? They got to wait another 30 minutes for the next one. So when I try to, convey that to service quality or management or whatever, I'm not saying they bad, because they got a lot of things that they're in charge of and they have to do and everything. So I just go and apologize, or I would take that person to the end of the line so they could catch their bus. But I still did it with permission of the control center. I call, hey, the train late, they're gonna miss their bus and they get points for being late. Can I run this person up to Vandy? They say, sure. And the passengers, they all, before I left, they all gave me like a standing ovation. They was happy. They was like, they hate to see me leave. But like I said, we getting new people in. So what you need to do is just talk to the next person. Talk to the operator to see if they can hold the bus for you. Or, I'm getting off subject, but I'm just saying it was great working for RTA, and I went into supervision just to help the next person coming along. And it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gerald Ware. I started here in December 2014. I want to say it has been a pleasure, and I just want to thank HR, thank everybody, thank RTA for allowing me and giving me the chance. In December 2014, I went from one job to another. When RTA called me, I was just so happy, and it's been a up and down journey. And sometimes when I'm at home, it's like, man, I got somewhere to be. Right. And I'm looking at my phone. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm done. I'm retired. But feel like I still need to be somewhere. I still need to be at work. I'm used to work. It's just within me. And since I work late, I find myself up late. Can't sleep because my time is off. But I just want to say, I thank RTA for giving me the chance to come and work, and I made it, and I did my best. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, Clark Smith, construction superintendent, and they wanted to tell stories, but I see they were prepared by the front people in the front row. First job I had was the walkway to Gateway. And one of the things with today's temperature is back in 1994, we hit a time when it was minus 20 on the thermometer. And we had a lot of damage to water pipes, sprinkler systems, et cetera. And the only good thing about that was we were able to make improvements and find out what needed corrections with the contractor still on site. Next, I went to the waterfront line, and that particular winter, we had 112 inches of snow in Cleveland. But make a long story short, we were able to complete the projects on time. Waterfront line opened on July 10th, 96, and the walkway opened for first baseball game in 1994. One thing is the days, nights, and weekends were long, but the years were short. So thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Okay. I just wanted to say, retirees, we want to thank you as you conclude your careers here at the GCRTA, and we wish you all of the very best. At this point, this concludes our presentation for new hires, promotions, and retirees. Thank you.
Thank you, Ida. And I just want to echo Ida's comments. The combined years of service to the authority is truly impressive, and from your comments, you can tell just how much you cared and served our riders each and every day. So thank you for that. Based on that, we have a resolution pending. Do I have a motion and a second for it?
So move Pichetti.
Second, Love.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2026-2.
Authorizing contract number 2025-109 with Expert of Canton, DBA Complete Pest Solutions for pest control services in an amount not to exceed $205,200 for the base 3-year period and in amount not to exceed $68,400 for each of 2 option years, for a total contract amount not to exceed $342,000 for 5 years. General Fund, Central Facilities Maintenance Department budget.
Great. You've heard that comment. If there are no questions, a motion and a second, please.
So moved, McPherson.
Second, Sleesman.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2026-2 passes. 2026-3.
Authorizing a renewal agreement with the City of Shaker Heights for landscape maintenance and parking lot snow removal for a period of 2 years, beginning January 1st, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $277,915.81 for 2026, and $283,127.40 for 2027. General Fund, Programming, and Planning Department budget.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you very much for that. Do I have a motion and a second? Yeah, we
Move to
will.
approve, Sleesman.
Second, McPherson.
A roll call, please, Brent.
Mayor Kumar?
Yes.
Ms. Pachetti?
Yes.
Ms. Elder?
Abstain.
Mayor Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Ms. McPherson?
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman?
Yes.
Mayor Weiss?
Abstain?
Ms. Wiggum? Motion carries.
Resolution 2026-4.
Authorizing contract number 2025-130 with ESK Landscaping LLC to provide non-rail and healthline landscaping services for a period of 3 years in an amount not to exceed $791,636.40 and in amounts not to exceed $272,654.76 and $280,259.80 for each of the 2 option years respectively, for a total contract amount not to exceed $1,344,550.96. General Fund, Central Facilities Maintenance Department budget.
Thank you for that reading. Any comments? If not, a motion and a second, please.
Motion, Pachetti.
Second, Mayor Weiss.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2026-4 passes. 2026-5.
Authorizing contract number 2026-001 with AT&T Corp. on behalf of AT&T National Mobility Accounts LLC to provide mobile data services through the State of Ohio's Department of Administrative Services Cooperative Purchasing Program in an amount not to exceed $300,000 for a period of 1 year. General Fund, Information Technology Department budget.
Thank you for that information. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Pachetti.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 5 passes. 2026-6.
Authorizing contract number 2025-143 with Delta Railroad Construction, Inc. for Central Rail Maintenance Facility Transfer Table at Track 3 reconstruction in an amount not to exceed $1,093,055. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
Thank you for that information. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Elder.
Second. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2026 passes. -6. 2026-7, please.
Authorizing contract number 2025-153 with Standard Contracting and Engineering, Inc. for the Central Rail Maintenance Facility modifications in an amount not to exceed $9,505,365. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
Thank you for that. Any comments? If not, a motion and a second for that resolution.
Move to approve, Sleesman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2026-7 passes. 2026-8.
Authorizing an increase to contract number 2025-007 with R.L. Hill Platform Contracting Joint Venture for Project 24X East 79th Street Green and Blue Line Station reconstruction in an amount of $67,550 for a new total contract amount of $10,549,329.86 and reinstating the General Manager, Chief Executive Officer's change order signing authority in its entirety. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
You've heard that as well. Is there a motion and a second for that resolution?
Move to approve, Sleesman.
Second, Love.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes as well. 2026-9.
Authorizing contract number 2025-151 with Shermer Construction LLC for Project 66E1 Red Line Station Platform Modifications in an amount not to exceed $11,111,000. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
And we had a presentation on that at the last meeting, and very important project. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Elder.
Second, Sleesman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2026-9 passes. 2026-10.
Authorizing contract number 2025-145 with Railworks Track Services LLC for Project 55B, repair of Main Avenue broken rail in an amount not to exceed $424,924. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
Thank you for that. Do I have a motion and a second for passage?
Move to approve, Sleesman.
Second, Pachetti.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2026-10 is adopted. 2026-11.
Authorizing contract number 2025-136 with AECom Technical Services, Inc. to provide consulting services to update the authority's existing strategic plan in an amount not to exceed $465,000. Development Fund, Programming and Planning Department budget.
I see some familiar faces in the audience from AECom. Any final comments you'd like to make? Please.
Manager and an avid transit rider. I'm with AECom. We're an engineering and design firm focused on transportation planning as well. We have offices here in Cleveland, but across broader Ohio as well, with over 400 staff. We also have offices nationally, and so we're really excited to work with all of you on updating the strategic plan. We know a lot of work has been happening since 2020, including the traction plan goals, and so we're excited to build upon that, bringing in concepts around transit-oriented development, the corridor prioritization, financial analysis, and of course, stakeholder engagement. So you'll be seeing more of me this year, and I look forward again to working with all of you to update the strategic plan over the coming months. Again, thank you for the opportunity and for the consideration to work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Brent, did you read that resolution? Okay, could not remember. Okay. We have that in front of us for approval. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Smith Wiggum.
Second, Sleesman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes as well. 2026-12.
Approving the 2026 Title VI program update for submittal to the Federal Transit Administration.
Thank you for that. You all received, I think, electronic copies in your RTA emails for that. And on the table here, we have like 2 or 3 spread out among the trustees. If there's anything you want to look at, hard copy. We didn't want to print out a bunch of them since you have it electronically, but just wanted those for your reference should you have a question while we're here today. Having said that, is there a motion and a second for this resolution?
So moved, Elder.
Second, Mayor Weiss.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 12 passes as well. Next, we have the Secretary Treasurer's Report from Raj Gotham, Deputy General Manager for Finance. Raj, take it away.
Mayor Kumar, members of the board, good morning. My name is Raj Gautam. I am the Deputy General Manager of Finance and the Board Secretary Treasurer, here to present the January update. It's a pretty standard report, one that we have grown accustomed. We'll start by reviewing the general economic conditions under which we operate. If you'd all recall, the FOMC decreased the interest rates to 3.75%, representing a 0.25% decrease at the December 10th meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for January 27th and 28th. Annual inflation rate for November and December 2025 remained constant at 2.7%. We've started sharing some consumer confidence numbers, which is really a survey of consumers conducted by the University of Michigan. Long-term inflation expectations increased slightly from 3.2% in December to 3.4% in January. During 2024, readings had ranged between 2.8 and 3.2%. The survey is broken down into three distinct components. One is the consumer sentiment, the current economic conditions, and the consumer expectations. Consumer sentiment actually increased month over month by 2.1%. However, on a year-over-year basis, it represents a 24.7% decline. Current economic conditions month over month increased 4%. Year over year, a 30.2% decline. And consumer expectations month over month represented a 0.7% increase. Year to year, a 20.9% decline. Ridership through December 2025, these are still somewhat preliminary numbers, and we'll update it when better information and more current information becomes available. For December 2025, the year-to-date ridership was 1.4% lower than 2024. When we compare the information to pre-COVID levels, which is on the right-hand side of the slide, it represents a decline of 7.6 million rides, or roughly 23.6%. On a year-to-date basis for 2025, we are 23.6%, as I just stated, for pre-COVID. And once again, as I stated a little earlier, the ridership data is currently preliminary and will be revised at a later time. Passenger fares. December fare revenue was 8.9% below December 2024, largely due to some timing of receipts that were collected in December 2024. Remember that these numbers that we are presenting are on a cash basis rather than an accrual basis of accounting. On a year-to-date basis, fares were 3.3% below 2024 levels. A quick comparison to pre-COVID levels that you see on the right-hand side of the slide. Passenger fares were roughly 11 million lower, or 25.7%. Once again, a reminder that when we receive these sales tax collections, there is a 3-month lag from the date the economic activity had transpired. So the revenue that was collected in December is actually based on the activity that was conducted within Cuyahoga County in September. December 2025 receipts were 5.4% higher than December 2024. On a year-to-date basis, we were 3.8% higher when compared to 2024. 16 out of the 21 categories that make up the sales tax base were positive in December. Online sales were 11.38% higher. Motor vehicles and watercraft 3.4% higher. And regular and statewide sales were 1.3% higher. Typically, sales tax collections come around the 15th through the 20th of the month. For the last several months, we were getting this information towards the 20th of the month. For January, however, we received sales tax for January, once again, which relates to the October 2025 activity. That is 6.6% higher when compared to January 2025 levels. Selected data, just a quick summary of the information that you have in your monthly packages. Total long-term debt at the end of the year stands at $13.9 million. The average investment yield on a year-to-date basis that we generated was 4.05%. These cash numbers are still preliminary, pending some additional reconciliations, et cetera, for year-end work. But total cash and investments were $331.7 million, of which $296 are in restricted funds, leaving $35.7 million in unrestricted general fund, which exceeds the 1-month reserve policy that we have, that we try to live with. With that, I'll entertain any questions or comments.
Questions, anyone?
Yeah, thank you for the presentations this morning. Just going back to that previous slide, you mentioned continued reconciliation, but the healthcare spending and the board increase of 9 million, do we have it in at least a number relative to that healthcare spending in that last 2 months of 2025 relative to the actual?
We do. I don't have the precise numbers, but I want to share the information that the 9 million that we had estimated for November and December activity was on the conservative side, meaning it was on the higher side. The actual results were lower, which is good. So what that means is that we obtained spending authority from the board that we didn't actually need based on the actual experience rate.
Thank you.
One question on the ridership slide. I don't need you to pull it up, but you ever break that down between buses and transit? You see any trends in there that allow us to drill down and maybe understand some of those trends?
Yes, we do. So I can, heavy rail and light rail were lower. I think through December, bus, Healthline, and paratransit did experience increases. Healthline was roughly 0.2%, bus was 1.6% higher, and paratransit 7.4% higher. The declines were in the rail side of the operations. Heavy rail was 17.6% lower. Light rail was 8.2% lower.
And heavy rail being red line?
That is correct.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Do we know the contributing factors for that?
Good morning, Chairman Kumar, members, Ms. Terry, members of the board. I am Flonse Caver, the Chief Operating Officer. And so we don't have the exact contributing factors, but we do continue to look at our ridership. We have quarterly, we look at surveys to figure out what the customers are saying, and we're attempting to make sure that the ride and the customer experience attracts riders.
Thank you. Any other questions for Raj? Thank you so much for your report.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Next, we have the General Manager's report.
Good morning again, everyone. And just to piggyback on the last question, we can absolutely provide more information on that one. We do have detailed information where we analyze ridership trends and the like. We usually do that in a monthly setting, if not more. We do also have an additional sheet that we can share with the board. It is a little bit in the minutia of the detail, but it might be of interest to you. We can always do that at our retreat or in another forum where we have a little bit more back and forth for detail.
Appreciate that.
No problem. All right. Well, I will say I do feel like you've had about 20 different presentations here. Some planned, not planned, as an amalgamation of whether it was on the agenda or a testimonial by a retiree or a visitor giving a formal presentation. So I will be as quick as I can here. Wanted to give you a update. I come to you about twice a year or so, if not annually, with a temporary promotional programs update. This is what I am bound to do by our finance department and by our code book, I believe. Code book section 840.09 authorizes me as your CEO to offer fare incentives or complimentary rides to promote ridership. This is not used very often as it is considered when there was significant economic impact to the authority by way of our participation in a particular program that might affect our region. I always report those back to you because there is a $10,000 spending limitation. That is not a secret. And here also is not a secret of how much we have spent over the past year. There were two entities that this was divided amongst. And again, these were promotional programs which afforded our region to be able to invest into public transportation by way of assistance and support for those regional programs. I'm happy to give you additional information offline if necessary. Any questions about this one? And this is, again, something I usually come back to you at least every 6 months to a year on. It is tracked through our finance department so that I have the flexibility to be able to have RTA participate in regional programs that benefit our company as well as promotion of our service. All right. Moving on to a couple of where have we been slides. If you recall, I am reporting on the era of the holiday. So this is the last 30 days, which half of them, a lot of us were out on vacation or spending time with loved ones or out in the community. So you'll see a lot of exciting events that are going to be reported on. It's relatively short. La Grande Paranda, if you recognize that name, we've participated for the last few years, and this is really being able to partner with the Northeast Ohio Hispanic Center for Economic Development. There's a lot of acronym there, to be able to celebrate Latin holiday called Parandas. That is a caroling. So if you think about Christmas caroling and holiday, that's the same in that community for Latino in the Cleveland community. It is very much something that our ERG, Latinos Unidos, has been spearheading alongside the Cleveland community for some years now. We're really excited to be able to partner with a lot of these small businesses. Typically a vehicle, whether on schedule or not, is utilized. We basically take what's en route and carol through the neighborhoods. And this was a great opportunity to be able to get our face out there in the community and remind people that public transit is a great mechanism to spread some cheer. Also, we had a service pin ceremony. Service pin ceremonies, you heard from a lot of our retirees today. This is really recognizing those that have anywhere from 5, on this slide you'll see up to 35 years. Sometimes we have, as you heard today, over 45 years of service to the authority. I will say I was super excited. You'll see my smiling face in the middle. I finally made the ceremony. With 6 years at the authority, so I hit that 5-year marker. And we're really excited to be able to say thank you to those folks. And this is a smattering of people that were available to be able to receive their pin. A lot of folks were either on vacation or were actually on shift. And just say thanks for the work and the dedication, and we recognize them every 5 years or more. Yep. All right, railcar update. At this point, I'm going to be very quick on this. I'm going to ask Dr. Caver or either Mike Shipper to be able to give a quick update if I missed anything. But we had a group, part of our railcar replacement management team that's gone out to Sacramento, California to check on the railcars. If you remember, we said that they are going to be promised to Cleveland this coming summer. We are on schedule. In fact, perhaps a little bit ahead of schedule as far as the building out of those rail cars. There we go. Wanted to be able to kind of bring you into the inner workings of what's going on. It's really a fun thing to look at as it goes through the process of being built and wired. I think Mike called this the spaghetti of the internal wiring of the guts of the train, and I would agree with that. You will see Casey Blaze here, and I believe that's Brian Moore in the middle photo. Raj, you and your cousin Brian, I don't know. They look very much alike in some of these photos. It's amazing to see our financial guru in the middle of the spaghetti wires. To be able to look through understanding what goes into the guts of what we're purchasing. Right now we stand at 54 cars on order with Siemens. If you recall, our cap was 60, and through tariffs and everything else, we're evaluating the remainder of those 6, but we will be fully operational with those 54 on order, and they are slated to hit Cleveland soil later on this year. Dr. Caver, am I missing anything?
Thank you, Ms. Terry, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. Again, Flauncey Caver. The team went out. We had a terrific trip. Certainly a portion of it was taking care of business, so we got clarity on some items that were related to the scheduling of the system and the cost of the trains. But I do want to share that this opportunity and the team that's working on this, and you don't get to see them a lot, but they're working very hard. This program will be transformational for this community. We will have for the first time, we'll have one train that can service every territory within our system, which will unlock new trips for the future generations, unlock new travel patterns, and bring economic development to different nodes of our community. And so we're very excited about this program this summer. we will get the first car here. Certainly it'll be needed to be tried out and shakedown process, but we're tremendously excited for the project and can't wait for you to get to see more of the members as we begin preparing for commissioning, which is the agency's goal this year, is to deliver the commissioning on time and on budget.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any questions for the rail car replacement? All right. Also, all right, the moment that these fine gentlemen and ladies have been waiting on patiently in the front row here, wanted to be able to, and while I'm talking, if I can thoroughly embarrass two of our commanders, if I can ask Orlando Hudson as well as Ronald Darden to join me at the podium. You're going to say a couple words if you did not know. Shame on the chief. So while they're doing that, I'd like to be able to first say thank you to the transit police team. They have done a phenomenal job being able to, definitely, thank you, being able to support. Now, you two know to not get through here, but you did that very well. All the space and opportunity to my left. To be able to support and provide an amazing amount of protection for our community. It is not unnoticed. I think you'll hear through a lot of presentations today, transit police was mentioned. That is not always orchestrated, but they're there with every project, whether it's the West 25th BRT, whether it's the rail car replacement, whether it's our operations folks, when you have a rail shutdown and a bus bridge, you'll see transit police there every time. So I just wanted to be able to recognize them for all of their work. We also did such in this room on January 15th. Several of you were there. We appreciate your participation. You'll see them in the photo here through the board. Two of our very own were promoted. So now we have Sergeant Michael Kale and Lieutenant Robert Tulefsky. So if you two could stand up for me. These two gentlemen really exhibit and embody the impressive body of work that TP goes through every day. I'd like to have our Commander Darden be able to say a couple words on their behalf. He did serve as the MC, so I don't feel too bad. He had a dry run. And then I'd also like to have Commander Hudson give a couple words. You'll see in the next slide, I'll give you a little preview of myself here with one of our new chaplains. We actually have two that are sitting here to my right. We have Chaplain Eduardos and we have Chaplain Petty to be able to also provide prayer when needed and support in the advent of emotional support that's required when we have accident or incident on our system, which we all know is inevitable at some point given the amount of people that we move. So we appreciate the two of them as well. They are 2 of 4. This is a new chaplain program. We have not had this in the past, to my awareness. And we appreciate Chief Jones. If you remember about a year or so ago, we came to you with that resolution for approval or the approval to move forward. This is the embodiment of that work. So we appreciate them. And I will ask Commander Hudson to give a little bit of information on that. So first, back to Darden.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Ron Darden. I'm the commander over specialized units at Transit Police. It was a pleasure to be the MC and to celebrate these two gentlemen here. I've had the honor of supervising both of them in different capacities, and you'll be hard-pressed to find 2 more deserving gentlemen. It was great seeing so many familiar faces, and I appreciate the turnout to celebrate these 2 great men. Thank you.
To be able to make sure that you meet them, I am going to ask the 2 individuals, our 2 superstars, to make their way to the dais to be able to meet our board members. I think what you do every day needs to be recognized, so we appreciate you.
Good morning. Chair Kumar, Vice Chair Chetty, our CEO, other members of the board. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ron Woodford. This was one of the last programs that he helped bring to life with the Transit Police Department. This program actually was a brainchild of the chiefs back in 2021 when she first came here. I remember she came in the office and she asked me, she said, do we have a chaplain program here? And I said, no. And she said, well, we're going to need one. I didn't know how to take that. Whether it's good or bad, that we had to tap into a higher source. But nevertheless, in 2025, we kicked it off the building of this program. We did a lot of screening. The chief was very involved in the screening process, thanks to the HR team, George and Ida and their team that helped us out a lot with this. And we were able to get 4 chaplains with great experience. Each of them had pastoral experience throughout the Cuyahoga community and surrounding communities. And just some of the things they provide is counseling, support, spiritual guidance is needed and requested. They come out to traumatic scenes and community emergencies and things like that. So just great to have them on board.
All right. In the interest of time, I'll ask the chaplains to do the same to network with our board members post-meeting. I believe that was the last slide that I had, but again, you got the testimonial version of our board meeting today, and so I appreciate all of the patience and listening that you provided to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Under the president's report, the only thing that I have is we did have a conversation with the general manager this morning in our board governance committee regarding the agenda for the retreat. I know she's going to share a framework with myself and VP Pachetti and get some initial comments, and then she wants to get that out to the board several weeks before the board meeting, so we all have a chance to look at that and chime in. So that is forthcoming. I have no old business. Is there any new business? Okay, if not, the next regular board meeting is scheduled for February 17th in the boardroom of the Authority, Root McBride Building right here at 8:30 or at 9 a.m. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved, Pachetti.
Second, Elder.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.